Hi and welcome to round 6. In round 6 I had the white pieces again and my opponent was about 2100 FIDE and we started with e4 where I expected the Caro-Kann defense, but he surprised me and played e5, after which I already guessed that he will play the Petrov, trying to be very solid, but I had something new prepared which I also published as a video, as an introductory video on the 4 knights variation, and I just played the same and bishop b5. Now in my video I gave an introductory session to bishop c5, after which you can go into some crazy lines with knight e5 and after this d4, but in the game he chose a more quiet line, which is bishop d6. It looks a bit awkward at first because this bishop harms black's development, but it's actually not such a bad move, because in case I ever take here, the bishop is quite well placed defending the pawn on e5, and it's not so easy for white to prove anything, and black can, for example, sometimes just castle, play rook e8 and then regroup the bishop to f8 when the bishop had just done its job defending the e5 pawn for now, and later regroup to a better square and black is able to finish the development then. So bishop d6 is not a mistake and had been played by many strong players before. I myself had been facing this move 2 months ago, where after d3 my opponent played a6, trying to get my bishop against a knight, and the game continued like this. I needed to give up the pair of bishops, but I did it not in the best possible way. I played a3, playing some interesting structure like this, where you give up the pair of bishops but have some central pawns, and you can develop quite smoothly and play long castle, which led to some very interesting positions. But a better move here is bishop b3, and after takes, it's not so easy for black to regroup, because he cannot move the bishop, because otherwise I would just take the pawn, and if he is playing too slowly he will be struck by some d4 push, and there are some e5 forks in the air, and I think white is a bit comfortable there as well. So this is something I had checked because it was my last game, but he kind of surprised me with h6, but at least as a plus, now I can safely guard my bishop, because it will have some space to escape in case he wants to chase it with a6, and knight a5 is just not in time. There's another interesting idea, trying to trap the bishop with knight a5 first, and after b4 playing a6, trying to really exchange the bishop for the knight, but there's an interesting refutation. I just take it this way, and now one might wonder, okay, white is a pawn up, but it's just this doubled a pawn, and he will maybe win it quite quickly with queen takes a5, but this is actually not happening, because as soon as he will play c6, I will get a big b6 square, and my pawn is really useful, and black will have trouble collecting this pawn, and white is a pawn up and clearly better. So that's not what he should do. He continued castling, which is reasonable, but after I played bishop c4, rerouting the bishop, while now having this safe retreat square, and the bishop is quite good on this diagonal, he should also start rerouting his bishop. We both lost some time with our bishop, so it's just equally good for both of us, but white has still some interesting plans. One of them is playing h3 and still playing with g4 here, because black has already castled and he has created a hook which I can use to open files, and black needs to be accurate here, not to be much worse. So that's what he should have done. Anticipating that I really want to attack him, he should develop his bishop now. Instead he played a6, trying to imitate the idea that he will be able to have a retreat for his bishop and also maybe ready to play b5, but it was a bit slow, and I was able to implement an idea I have checked earlier in a similar situation, and it's quite common to play g4. The pawn cannot really be taken because after knight takes rook g1, he will need to retreat, after which h6 drops, which is quite bad, and white gets a huge attack. Maybe not yet breaking through, but I can evacuate my king, bring more pieces. Sooner or later I will checkmate him. Nothing too concrete probably, maybe I need to retreat the bishop first, but the open files are against black's king, and that's white's major plus here. So after g4 he played b5, which I think is slightly inaccurate. I think he should have gone something like bishop c5 or knight d4. Immediately knight d4, I can play this, but yeah, he can try to exclude my knight from the attack, and it's not yet clear because bishop h6 will be answered with knight e8, and black is still fighting, though white is of course much better here. Playing b5 had the disadvantage that my bishop can now retreat, and d5 won't attack my bishop, so he has no tactics connected to bishop takes g4 while hitting my bishop, because my bishop is far away. So that's why I think in general b5 is not such a good inclusion of moves, because it helps me to preempt this d5 move. So he played it anyway. Bishop goes to a2, and he played bishop c5, after which I pushed the pawn, and he went knight g4. And here, of course, this is the big question, how to deal with this one, but I planned rook f1, and even though this looks very odd, I thought this is quite a nice move, because now his knight is about to be trapped, and sacrificing on f2, it just gives too much material. I will consolidate my position. He's not able to open the f-file quickly because this bishop is very, very strong. I'm maybe even threatening g6, trying to win this pawn, but I can simply evacuate the king, and then I have two pieces for rook, which is, yeah, very good for white, and probably just winning. So that's not the way to go. He took on g5, and I played h3, still evaluating that this here, having two pieces in an attacking position, is much better than the rook, and I will also collect this pawn because he's unable to defend again due to this strong bishop on a2. So that's why he went back, and initially my plan was to take on g5, but then I realized there is even a stronger move, rook g1, threatening to take on g5 and then take on h6, which would be a pin, and then I would win a whole piece. So it's already quite tough for black. And for example, if he wants to defend, I play knight d5, and the threat is renewed. I want to take on e7 first, and then take with the bishop on g5, which is devastating. So he tried to close the g-file with g4, but I took, and still the knight is misplaced, and I can open the position as soon as I want, which I did after d6, which I think is the best try. Now I should have played bishop g5 first before I take, because in this situation the queen is a bit misplaced and my knight d5 is threatening more stuff than in the game. So this would have been an improvement. I did actually not consider this, and just played bishop h6 because I thought this looks very, very promising as well. He cannot keep it closed really, because I will again bring the knight to f6 and then some heavy pieces on the h-file. So that's why he played bishop e6. I played knight d5 because I did not want to change this great bishop yet. And after knight e7, there are many wins, but still I needed some time to find something very clear. But then I found I can take and play knight h4, because the key point is to checkmate him. I need to get the queen in, and now the queen is ready to go to h5, and the game is over. For example, if he takes, I have queen h5, and he has no chance to play f6, because here his bishop on e6 is hanging. That's why he cannot play queen g7, and if the king goes to the h line, rook h1 will come very soon. Yes, and it will be checkmate very soon also. For example, concretely maybe take, and knight f5, ready for rook h1, and it's over. So that's why he cannot take on g5. The critical line, which I calculated, is taking on a2, because I might be some material down. I don't want to waste time with this, because he might have some defending resources, but I played knight f5 instead. And now he has one move protecting the bishop, but we are not really interested in winning this bishop, because it has no way to go back anyway. So I just continued attacking with the deadly threat of g6, which he is just not able to defend. The key point is that queen g6 is impossible due to knight d7. And also something like making space for the king, trying to run. I will just continue here, and he will be mated or attacked very soon. I threaten all kind of stuff, take here or take here, and it's over. In the game he played king h7, after which I played g6. He cannot take with the pawn because I have mate in 2. And in the game it also allowed me to checkmate him. Queen h6 was actually more accurate. I tried to figure out which is the fastest mate, but I somehow failed, because I thought he can delay it a little bit here, but still it's quite quickly coming. I found another mate which lasts a few moves more after knight h6. He could also sack the queen and prolong the game a little bit, but he played king f6, after which there is mate immediately. And yeah, I could finish a nice attacking win finally with the white pieces. Very happy about this game, and hope you enjoyed it too, and happy to see you next time. Goodbye.